Hello, fellow maker. I am in someone else's shop. I'm here at Smooth On HQ with Milo.
Hey.
Hey, Milo. It was really great meeting you this week. We got to do some work. You guys have a cosplay seminar.
Yes, we do.
Milo did a bunch of presentations and even got live cast, which was a treat for the rest of us.
Sure did.
What do you do here, Milo?
So at Smooth On here, I am a videographer, I guess, in a way, in the sense that I actually film the mold making and casting aspect of our videos. And I test a lot of materials, and also I'm a technician for materials. So if you want to give me a call and ask me questions about Smooth On products or something that happened with your mold or casting, once a week I do answer those calls as well.
That's terrific. He's also an exceptional mold maker. A lot of molding and casting going on here. So today we're going to cover some casting mistakes, common casting mistakes when people are trying to cast stuff out of a mold. And then on Smooth On's channel, we're going to cover mold making mistakes.
Yes.
Which is terrific because Milo here is an amazing mold maker. We also have some of my molds hiding over there too. So we're going
to talk about some of his mistakes as well.
Yep.
So.
But for today here, we're going to talk about casting mistakes. And the first thing on our list is premixing, not premixing enough.
Yes.
So what do you got?
So one of the common questions that we get from customers calling us is my material didn't set up, or even better, the expanding foam didn't rise as much as you say it would. I got to the bottom of my materials container and there's thick sludge at the bottom. What is that stuff? Can I use it? So those are some of the questions that we get as technicians about our product. And unfortunately, that's the lack of following the instructions that are on most containers.
Right there.
Yep. So most of these products you do need to premix. They do settle out in storage and the transportation. And before you go to use them, you would premix them so that all the components are mixed back in together. And before we even move on, I'm going to say, yes, read the technical bulletin, but I do want to show you guys. So this is Mold Star 15, 15 slow.
That's the green one, right?
Yes, this is turquoise greenish. I do want to grab some gloves if you don't mind.
Good call.
It's always better be safe. Wear your gloves when handling these products. And the part A specifically has fillers in it that settle out to the bottom. And even when I handle these materials, what I would do is I will premix the product several hours or even a day before. Bring up all that material, mix it, and then allow any air that's in it to naturally rise and disperse.
So you don't end up with those bubbles in your mold.
Exactly. Otherwise, if you just mix it, after premixing, you have all that air that you mixed into the product that's going to end up in your mold as they set up. So we're going to prevent that by allowing it plenty of time to basically degas on its own.
Yeah.
So the part A, if you scrape the bottom right when you get the material in the mail or you go pick it up, you're going to see this thick sludge at the bottom, right? See that? So that's material that's settled out, and you feel it when you scrape the bottom that it's there. Basically, what you need to do, see all that sludge? I got to zoom in on that, please. Thank you. So that's filler, that's part of the material. It's natural, it's supposed to be there, but if you just go to dispense the material right out of the bucket, you're not going to get that filler in your mold. Your mold might burn out faster or might even crumble sooner. And what you want to do is you just want to mix the stuff back into it.
And go get some giant mixing sticks too. Tongue depressors are great, but having something you can really grip, especially for a bucket like this, can be really
So you have
helpful.
your tongue depressor, you have your mixing stick you get at the hardware store.
And then the nuclear option.
So this is for the 5-gallon mixing container, so to say, at the paint store, but they work great with the premixing of gallon units as you scrape the material. Reynolds Advanced Materials carries these for your convenience so that you can premix these materials thoroughly.
Fantastic.
So that's your premixing issue that you bump into, more specifically with a product that settles out.
Very good.
I'm going to toss this over there because Bill is right in the way of the trash bin.
A big thing that got repeated over and over and over again in the cosplay seminar was double mixing.
Double mixing.
Double mixing.
Yes.
So when you mix your material in a cup, You're putting those materials together, the side A and the side B, and you want to make sure that they're mixed thoroughly, right? But you may not realize that some of the material gets stuck in the little crevice on the bottom of the cup, or maybe not on the side of the cup. Doesn't get all mixed together.
Your mixing sticks do matter.
Yeah.
So if you're mixing with a popsicle like this has a rounded tip. You're not going to get the material in the corner of your cup. A squared mixing stick will do that job for you. So keep that in mind. So talking about double mixing, yes, it's an added step in your mixing procedure. But
an extra cup that is going to get thrown away.
Yes, but even that we'll talk about a little bit further. It's the cheapest way to make sure that you mixed everything thoroughly in the container. Whenever you have a material on the bottom and you mix it, you'll never mix it thoroughly. You want to bring that material back to the top. And as you're dispensing the container back into a second mixing container, you're allowing that double mix to really take place and all the components to get worked in.
Yeah.
I find that it's even more crucial with urethane resins than silicones. Are a little bit more forgiving. But again, if you don't mix it thoroughly, you're not going to have a silicone that lasts 25, 30 years. It might burn out in 5, 6 years. So keep that in your mind.
Right. So if you're getting castings, if you see like swirls or parts that are not fully cured after a day or two, then you probably didn't double mix it. So you mix up the batch in one cup, and then pour the whole thing into a fresh cup and mix it again. It's an insurance policy.
It's a cheap insurance policy. And if you did a mix right, that second cup, you should be able to let that material cure and actually peel it right out of the cup.
There you go.
And you are saving that cup for the next job. If you have material that's sticky at the bottom, that's your clear indicator you didn't mix well. So it's a good procedure to also keep that mixing cup aside. Don't just toss it out, keep it aside. It will be an indicator if there's anything wrong with your mold or, your model, or did you make a mistake in the mixing procedure.
Next thing I want to cover is working on a leveled surface. And we did that in the seminar yesterday. We actually had levels that we could place on the mold and reorient it so that we would know that when we poured liquid into it, it would be level with gravity.
Right.
Yeah.
So one thing that we always hear from customers or see in our castings is that the casting is thicker on one side, thinner on the other. And it basically came down to the working surface not being leveled enough when you're making the mold. And I actually do have a great example of this. I don't need these gloves right now, so off they go. Alex, could you actually pass me that mold behind you with the suture pad? So we make these suture pads for learning purposes for med sim students. That would, there it is, mold. So here we have a mold that's textured with a fake skin, so that when you cast into it, it has that skin texture, just like our skin would have. But what would happen with this mold is that this corner here is much deeper than this side. And what ends up happening when you do your casting in that, one corner of your casting ends up being really thin, while the other corner ends up being really, really thick. So really easy to see here. And I have to admit, I actually made this mold. This is what happens when you're in a pinch and you have to rush a job and you just got to get a mold made. You forgot to level it out. You walk away, you come back and your mold is cured. Now you have an issue and your mold possibly has to be remade, or you just have castings coming out of it.
Or maybe you have to do a little work to each casting that come out.
Yeah, and who wants to do post-finishing
No
work?
one wants to do that.
All right.
If you are really into casting, doing a lot of casting, then making sure your work surface is already level can be really helpful. Or if you have a little platform with screws in it, so you can level the platform that you're casting on.
That's a really, really good tip. And so one thing that I do with my larger molds, I will build in support legs into it, so the mold can stand upside down.
Nice.
Now, in order to level that mold, you can't really level it as you're building it. So what I do is I screw screws into the wood piece to level the mold so I can pour into it and walk away from it.
Next one is material storage. And I think this is really good because I bet a lot of people, myself included, bought a container of like Smoothcast 300, which I have a bunch of, and used half of it and then it sits on the shelf for like a year or two before you use it again. I know it probably doesn't happen a lot around here, but for us normal people and with home studios, sometimes that happens. So you want to be really mindful of how you're storing all of these materials. So a lot of them will even say, they'll have a temperature right on the lid that you kind of, if you can keep your materials at that temperature while they're not being used, it's going to help a lot, help extend its life.
Right. It's ideal to keep the materials at room temperature, which we consider to be about 73 Fahrenheit. Whenever you do open and close the containers, we do recommend spraying some extended spray into it that will keep the material from interacting with any atmospheric moisture. There's always atmospheric moisture in your shop, and it will travel through the container. So you want to make sure that you spray some of that in. Give you a good example. A customer from Peru called in, and he said, you know, I have this Mold Max, and it sets up before I get it into the mold. I said, Mold Max has a really long working time. Where are you? In Peru. All right, what's the atmospheric moisture been in the area? It's been really high, it's been raining. Well, Mold Max does expedite the cure with moisture in the air. So that was his issue. So knowing that about your material storage, the area that you're in, is really important. But one more thing I want to point out too, I'm sure you guys see the material shelf in the back that we have. So we have racks for material, and we keep them off the ground. Why? The temperature off the ground is lower than up in the air, right? Where air is moving around, it's going to be warmer. So if you can keep the material off the ground, that's recommended. And just quickly to add my own experiences with these materials. I made a mold, and I put the rest of the material away. I will use it on my next project. 2 years went by, and I opened the material, and guess what? It was crystallized, solidified, and I couldn't use it. It was just junk at that point. So keep in mind when you're buying material, how much you're buying, so that you don't buy too much. It's easier to get more material than just have it waste.
And when you go get material, it's going to be more fresh.
Yes.
Exactly.
Coming off the shelf.
So I actually have those same shelves in my basement shop where I keep all of my stuff off the ground. And I have a little thermometer with that also reads humidity too. So I can keep an eye on both those. Fortunately, people think in Seattle that it's humid. It actually isn't. It rains a lot, but it doesn't get humid. And my basement naturally stays at about 65 degrees, but we have the furnace right there so we can keep it a little warmer for all that stuff. And I've found that if the containers that I have of something like Smoothcast 300, it can sit there for a year or two and still work. I've been fortunate.
Well, actually, I do want to say something on that. If you guys have material in your shop and you're not sure, hey, you know, I don't even know when this was purchased, when it was manufactured. First off, there is a manufacturing code on the container. It'll tell you the year and the month. But furthermore, do a small scale test. Mix up a little bit of material like it says in the instructions. See if it reacts the way it's supposed to in the given time. And if it does, you got your answer there. But if your Smoothcast foams up and is not fully rigid, there's a moisture issue because the material is most likely too old.
Next one, when it comes to casting parts, once you have your mold made, there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. Specifically, I wanted to talk about rotocasting. We even covered this yesterday in the seminar. It's so easy to get a spot on your slush cast that's too thick, right? And there's a number of reasons why that would happen. Too much material, or maybe you set it down and it all pooled in the bottom, or you're using maybe the wrong type of resin for your casting.
So in general, what I find when it comes to rotocasting, it's again, knowing the material that you're working with. So understanding the working time, the viscosity of material is important. But again, that working time is key because you're handling a mold and you're slushing a material inside that mold and you want to create an even thickness all throughout. And if you stop and you have too much material in that, it's just going to slump. Create a thick casting. So my number one tip for that is pour just enough material into the mold so you coat the interior, but doesn't really slump and collect and pool at the bottom of your mold. And use a material that has a short working time so you continue spinning it until it freezes, until it gelatinizes, and it stays in place and doesn't just slump. So we have a sample here. Alex, can you toss me that? Oh, that was dangerous. So here, this is actually one of the prop guns that Bill made. This is a really nice piece. We love this piece, but it is hollow casted. It's lightweight. I made it out of super strong material.
Wow.
So that it's impact resistant, but I still had to rotocast the material in there. I had to make sure to move it around and get it even thickness all throughout. And I'm sure as a mold maker and the person that made this mold, you surely know that was not easy.
No, it's a very heavy mold. And the first one that I made, and again, I was in a hurry. I was making the one I did for Comic-Con that I brought actually we all collaborated, Smooth On Tested and Punished Props. And my first one that I got was 17 pounds. It was way, way, way too heavy. And I carried that thing around Comic-Con. And you might think, I would love to have that hefty gun with my cosplay. No. You want it to be as light as possible. You really do. Then this thing, yeah.
So the lighter, the better, but still impact resistant and durable is the key.
Yeah.
And again, just knowing, understanding the material. Please do not toss that thing at me.
It's got a heavy one over there.
That one is with a metal rod inside. You can differentiate what you're making. If you're making a display piece and you want it to be heavy, yes, you can embed stuff. You can cast it solid for all I care. But if you're rotocasting, understand the material, how it works, the working time, and it works for your benefit.
Right. And then, so if you've made a mold and you don't know what material to put in it to get the result that you want, again, call this guy or the folks at Smooth On. They'll help you out.
We'll help you out with that material question, yes.
Another one that I have a fun and expensive anecdote. Some molding and casting materials are incompatible. Let's just say. So for example, alginate is a great mold making material if you need something fast and you need one copy of it.
Yes.
But alginate is mostly water.
It is.
And urethanes don't get along with water.
They don't?
At all.
No.
So what my little story is, I was casting a helmet for a buddy. I just needed the one and I was in a hurry and I happened to have some alginate. So I said, let's do this. I made an alginate mold of this helmet and I poured in some onyx. And again, I was in a hurry.
So you made a foam helmet?
I made a foam. So yeah, that's what happens. When the urethane reacts with the water, it starts to foam. And I'm trying to like slush cast this thing. It needs to be done tomorrow, right? And there's the range of emotions you go through.
Anger,
like, maybe I can fix this. So yeah, that was an example of me not doing the research for these two incompatible materials.
I do want to point something out that you said that's really important. You were rushing.
Yeah.
You were in a pinch. You needed this done immediately, and that's what usually happens. Whenever I find myself in a pinch and I need to get this done tomorrow, I end up screwing up something. I skip over a step. I forget a release agent. I don't mix A and B. I mix A and walk away. It happened to both of us.
Or two parts of A to one part B, but when it's supposed to be one to one. I've done that too.
Right, and then you wonder why your casting is not solid or it's crumbling, it doesn't have the color. So knowing the materials is key. Following the technical bulletin is key. And if you're still not sure, give me a call. I do answer the calls for technical support.
That's right. And that's where I want to wrap it up today. If you've just got a new material you haven't worked with before, reaching out to an expert, especially a materials expert who knows this stuff, is going to save you a headache, especially if you're in a hurry. Because having to do it again is going to take way more time than a 10-minute phone call. Right?
It will. And a piece of advice that I give to our customers always, think your process through, understand the materials, and if you're still not sure, ask questions, and it will lead to your success.
Trust me, they've heard them all. They've heard all of the questions. You may have a fun, unique project, but from a material standpoint, they've heard everything. They'll be able to help you out.
Some stuff that we don't want to hear, but we heard it, yes.
So there you go. There's some casting mistakes that people make that I've made, that plenty of people have made, and maybe you can avoid those in the future thanks to Milo's great advice. Like I said, we're going to do a mold making mistakes video over on the Smooth On YouTube channel. We'll have a link to that down below so you can go check it out yourself. And we'll get to look at one of my old molds that I made almost 10 years ago.
I'll go easy on you, I promise.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks so much, Milo, for hanging out. The last couple of days have been amazing. You and the team and everyone here have been terrific.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot.
Thanks for stopping in. It's always a pleasure to have a fellow maker and creator in-house and sharing knowledge between each other, but also between our viewers that watch these videos.
Absolutely.
And I am greatly thankful for you stopping in here.
Right on, man.
Let's talk about some more mold making. Eh?
Yeah, well, we're about to go record that. Thank you for watching and hanging out with us here in the Smooth On shop. Thanks to our extra credit members for the support. We'll have a link to that down below if you want to get our videos early. Can't do it without you. We really appreciate it. That'll wrap it up here. Happy crafting. We'll see you in the next build. Yeah. One and done. Couple of pros right here. Video making pros.
Jeez. Well, you're almost as tall as my wife.
Schnapps. How tall is she? 198 centimeters?
I don't know. I don't know what that is in inches.
Excuse me, sir. How tall you are?
She's
198 centimeters? Huh?
She's 6'2". She's not quite as tall as you. She is quite tall.
Excuse me, sir. Do you play basketball? No, I play chess.
Yeah, she got that a lot growing up.
But that's not a sport.
basketball?
Yes, it is. No, we can get you a box if you want to stand on it. No, seriously, I have a box there because when I'm filming from the other side, I can't see everything, so I set a box so I can position stuff. I'm just saying, you want me to sit down?
No, sorry.
Here. Or you want it?
Yeah, you can throw it back.
Here. You toss it at me, I'll toss it back at you. I'm just kidding.
Who's that running by in the background?
Hey, can we get some more background actors here? At least like 2 more. Oh, here we go.
All right, here we go.
Can you drive the Zamboni behind us?
Material.
Is it hot in here?
Yeah, I'm a little warm myself.
Look at that.
There's a fan right there.
So when they set up my workstation, the one thing that I requested, a must, is a fan so that it actually keeps me cool while I'm making stuff. Rotocasting large molds that are heavy.
Getting to work out.
Yep, and you're still going to just get a workout and sweat. So,
especially that District 9 mold there.
We'll talk about that.